Monday afternoon. Hope everybody's had a good, blessed day. Good to see you. I am the one and only Jerry Bowman. Not the only, but there's a lot of Jerry Bowmans. So I jump on here, do a quick live stream. I'm waiting on the young lady that comes and mows my yard to come mow my yard. And then I'm going to clean my house while she's mowing. Thought I'd jump on here a minute and holler at you guys. Like I said, I hope everybody's had a blessed and good Monday. Hope your day at work wasn't too hard. And I hope if you're working the afternoon or the night shift and just getting started, that you have a good evening. It's been hotter than the hubs of hell here all day long in old Western Kentucky. So I have not done much. Like I said, I've done a little laundry and I'm waiting for her to get here, and then I'm gonna clean the house while she's mowing the yard. Whoa, she goes. There's y'all a little view of the bird feeder. As you can see, the yard definitely does need mowing. We've had so much rain here, and even though it's been hot, those good sunshiny days has made it really grow. We'll see what July has to hold for us. Usually things get pretty hot and dry around here, but we've had a large amount of rain, like I said, to be this early in the year. Hey, how you doing? Come on in here. I'm just giving you all a little view of the bird feeder. I just thought I'd do a little quick live while I was waiting on the young lady that mows my yard to come mow my yard. 17 people come in. Y'all jumped in and talked to me. I hope everybody had a good and blessed day. I hope your day at work wasn't too hard. I hope if you're working the afternoon or the night shift, you have a good night at work and be safe. Hope God has blessed you and took care of you. And a happy Monday to y'all. Has anybody got anything to say? Like I said, I'm just sitting here waiting on the girl that mows my yard to come mow my yard, and I'm going to clean my house while she's mowing. I've been doing a little laundry. It's been very, very hot here today in the state of Western Kentucky. It's been up in the 90s with the heat index well up in the hundreds. So I don't get out when it's real hot. Hi, Nikki 45. Nika 45. Appreciate you so much. Appreciate you coming in, Nika. Have you had a good day? Thank you so much. I try to be cool. That's good. That's good. Just about to meet your cousin. That's cool. Is it a long lost cousin or just a cousin you hang out with and party with? I'll be damned. That's pretty neat. That's pretty neat. Have you never met them before? Have you corresponded in any way? Yeah, they live like 30 hours away from Plain. Damn. Well, that's cool. 30 hours away. They got to live somewhere way overseas. Australia, I hear you. Down under, that's cool. That's very cool. Are you live in the States? Evidently, you live somewhere like that. Because if it's a 30-hour flight, they not really. You live in Texas, okay? Well, you know what hot weather is too, then. So it's been hot here. Hi, Daisy old nine. How you doing, Rixburg? I'm pronouncing that right. Let me know if not. Wild Randy, hello from Rhodesia. Rhodesia. Hello from Western Kentucky in the United States. Appreciate each and every one of you coming in here. Me and Nick was talking about he's fixing to meet his cousin after 2 years from Australia, and I thought that was pretty neat. I live in Western Kentucky, extreme Western Kentucky. I'm a few miles from the Mississippi River, but I have to go. Have a nice day and hope you have a. Hey, thank you so much, Nicka45, for coming in. May God be with you. May God bless you and Lord watch out over you each and every day. Be down on your knees day and night, praying and thanking Him for what you have. Peace and love out to you, my friend. And safe on your travels. I'm glad you get to meet your cousins. Take care, my man. What's going on, Clay? Clay 4444 four fours. Man's colonizer. I don't know, brother. It depends on if you got kicked out of 109 houses. Is it your fault or everybody else's? I don't know, friend. It just depends on what the situation is with your housing. I know a lot of Sandra plays. I'm doing good. Thank you for coming in. How are you doing? Sanji plays. Did I say that right? If I don't, y'all let me know now. I can't. Some of these names. Glad y'all coming in. Hope you had a good, blessed day. I don't know, Randy, about the housing. Like I said, if you're breaking some kind of rules and regulations, then it's your fault. If they're just if they're using those rules and regulations or some way to abuse their power and to kick you out, then you need to call your local public housing authority people. All right, I'm glad you had a good day. Well, yeah, if you're stealing the copper, I can see why they're kicking you out, my friend. I mean, I don't see where he could do anything about you letting anybody come visit you. But yeah, if you're stealing the copper, that's probably against the rules and regulations. Sanji plays. What? How? 109 times. It's a wonder you ain't in jail. I don't know where you're at in the world, but I know several years ago the copper and scrap metal got so expensive around here, everything was through the roof. People was stealing air conditioner units from houses. Uh, if a new house was being built, they'd go in and strip all the wire, all the, which most of your plumbing nowadays is all PVC or CPVC, but they was stealing brand new air conditioner units, everything. They was cutting fucking power lines down, and but a lot of them got arrested. There was an old factory a few miles south of me down the road. It was an old lamp factory back in the 70s and 80s, and it was out of business. And there was fucking miles of copper wire in there and aluminum wire. I'm talking about number 4 wire. Yeah, I mean, if they're kicking you out for stealing copper, I can see why they're doing it. But now they should not be able to kick you out as for people coming to see you, no matter what race they are, because that's discrimination. Is it still there? What about what? And you're not. Yeah, yeah. Yeah, they went in, they was taking miles of that shit out of this building out here. They was cutting it in sections. And it was like 4 aught and 2 aught. It was a lot of big wire in there. And they would go in there at night. Nobody know they was in there. You could drive your truck in there. And they would cut out big sections and pull them out with a truck. But they always got stupid. There was too many people involved. And times was hard. I'm not going to say that I'm an angel and have not done what I had to do to survive. I mean, if you're trying to survive, even though it is theft, uh, I mean, like I said, that your survival instinct will kick in when you have to survive. But like I said, they was stealing everything around here, and it cleaned up a lot of shit. There was old cars down in ditches and stuff, and they was dragging them out of there. It was at an all time around here. A car would bring like $1,000 if you just took it straight there and sold it to them, let them crush it out. But if you wanted to part it out and go through it, you could make a lot out of it. I had a buddy that had a bunch of cars stacked up, and I forget how many. He had 50 something cars and a bunch of other shit. He was a junk man and all, and he cashed in about $87,000 that year, and most of it cash. So, but you know, if you're stealing the copper, that is theft, brother. Like I said, but if you're trying to survive, that's another thing. I'd rather see you steal copper as I had cook meth. Let's put it that way, or sell meth. But yeah, they'll kick you out for stealing copper. And I don't know where you're at, but a lot of older houses, I understand, a lot of older houses will have trim up around the ceiling and certain Art Deco stuff in there, and it's really worth nothing. I mean, it's a fine line, brother. If they're an old abandoned house and you can get by with it, like I said, it's surviving. But if you're going in and renting houses and then gutting them and stripping the copper, yeah, they have a right to kick you out. Like I said, I can't believe they have not prosecuted you. But as far as African American, Indians, anybody coming to see you, they can't do that. They call your local housing authority. What's number one copper bringing a pound nowadays? I don't know what it is here. I have not sold no. I'm retired, and I have not sold no scrap iron or anything in a while. Yeah, 109 times. That's quite a few times, brother. But like I said, if I had a buddy, we'd done a lot of junking together. We tore down old barns and would sell the metal. A lot of the metal was aluminum back in the old days. That's like this aluminum can. It's aluminum, but I done took the pull tab off. But the little pull tab will bring more per pound than the can will. But I got a buddy that when I do my trash, put all my cans to the side and I take them to him. He's a junk man. He got all kind of shit. But number one solid copper, it was real high there at one time. Like I said, people was actually stealing people's fucking 2 and 3 ton air conditioner units from the side of their house while they was going to work during the day. They would go to houses out in the country. We're real remote where I live. I'm about 5 miles from the Mississippi River, and they would go out during the day, Some of these guys, they rigged up like little wreckers. They converted their trucks or had a truck and they would build them a little rack system and get a winch and make like a wrecker where they could load and haul. And like I said, they was getting down in ditches where old cars had been for hundreds of years. Well, let's say 50 years. And they was winching them some inches out of there and hauling them off. I mean, they cleaned up a lot of stuff around here, a lot of old dumps. They went through there and got everything they could, metal out of it. I mean, because it was through the roof. 109 times is a lot, Randy. What part of the world, like I said, and if you don't want to say that's fine, but I can't believe that if they know that you have done this, that they have not done more than just evicted you. Anything, let's just say, I'm not calling you, I'm not saying you steal or anything. We've all had to do what we had to do to survive. Believe me, brother. I've done whatever I had to do to survive. But over $500, it's a felony, here in the state of Kentucky. But they was have a little hat. Okay, I don't know really what that means, but that's cool as long as you're getting away with it, brother. Just remember one thing. Quitting when you're ahead is not actually quitting. I'm not going to lie to you. I've got nothing to lie about, and the statute of limitations will probably run out. But during the 80s up until the 90s, let's say a 10-year stretch, I growed a lot of cannabis, marijuana, weed, whatever you want to call it. I started out small, got big before you knew it. But I got out when things changed. The laws started being different. They started flying helicopters, looking and searching, and I'll have to say I've been under the helicopter blades several times trying to hide out. And then they come out with the heat-seeking shit, and like I said, it become too risky, and I got out while I was ahead. And I still smoke a little cannabis. It's just God's herbal medicine, but just be careful, brother. Like I said, you get into it, and it wasn't that I made a lot of money. I just growed my own personal use, but there was times if I had to make it, I could make it. I helped my mother a lot. She bought an older house in town and was trying to get it remodeled in a little bit at a time. And I went and hired a crew of carpenters and told them to go do it for her. So, like I said, I ain't that I made a lot of money myself. I just always had some good weed to smoke. And if I needed to turn it into money, I could. Now, I'm not sitting here saying I was a drug dealer, but, people bootlegged and everything else. It's just like anything else. The people who murdered our Lord, are you talking about Jesus Christ? The people that crucified him? Now, like murderers and stuff like that, they ought to be done away with. If there's beyond the shadow of a doubt that they've done that crime, they shouldn't get life in prison after they've took a life. Jude, all right, okay. Because people they'll quote the Bible, they'll say an eye for an eye and a tooth for a tooth. But if you read down 2 more paragraphs, it'll also talk about a life for life. So I think the death penalty ought to be back on the table in every state. Like I said, if it's beyond a shadow of a doubt, if this person if they confessed to these murders, if they took you and showed you where the bodies was buried, if they only knew stuff about the crime that people, yeah, you're exactly right. I watched that movie Risen last night. It's funny that you're talking about that, but people shouldn't, the taxpayers shouldn't be paying for people to sit and rot away in prison. You know, just cause you give them life in prison and they get to live to be old on the taxpayers' dollars, and they've killed one of your family members, that's not justice. You ever seen the movie Risen? Talks about the Roman soldier that actually done the crucifixion, which is kind of a fictional, but there was a lot of soldiers that seen after the resurrection of Christ that they had done wrong, and they did follow and spread his word. But this breaks it down to Cassius, about him. He was the man that he was over the soldiers, and he was the one that gave the order to do everything, and he was the one that gave the order to run the spear up under the rib cage and spear his heart. So he sit there and watched him die. He seen the death, or the life go out of his eyes. And then he finds him later on in Galilee. And when he walks in the door, he freaks out because there sit the man and he's alive. He's in human form. So he ends up joining up with the rest of the disciples, and they went on a journey. And at the end of the movie, he continues to go out and spread the word. It's and a lot of that's true. The way they talked, it people was scared of him, and it was hard enough for the people that was witnessing these miracles to believe. But like they said, how do you expect the people that's not seeing this to believe? And that's kind of the way it is nowadays. The way I was raised up in the 60s and 70s, we knew everything was right. We lived by the Bible. We knew everything in there was right. All you got to do is look outside. I'm sitting here in the country right now. You look right out there. How can you not believe? There's God's creations right there. We're living in God's creations. And you can worship Him any time you want to. The First Amendment gives us that right. Yeah, the Jews, I don't know, brother. There's a lot of people have got so far away from the truth, and they don't read the books. And I'm not saying you don't have to go to church. Going to church and sitting in a church building don't make you a Christian no more than me going out here and standing in my garage makes me a car. If you don't have the faith and belief, or if you're not looking for it, no, you're not going to find it in that building. Acts 17:28 will tell you God does not live in dwellings built by hands. Acts 7:48 would tell you, but He does provide everything it takes to build that building. And on the days of worship, yes, He's in that building with you, but when you leave, He leaves that building. You're not going to just walk in there and, there's a fine line there. Like I try to tell everybody, you can open that Bible any day of the week. You don't have to wait till Sunday. You're right. That Bible is open anytime you want to open it. You can read it. You ain't gonna have to wait till Sundays. You don't have to wait till Wednesday. You don't have to sit in a building and listen to another man's interpretation of that book, whether he's went to a college or not. I'm not a preacher, but I'm a believer, and I can go out here and preach the gospel. Now, I'm not a saint by no means. I'm not sitting here and putting myself on a pedestal. I do ride with the Prayer Warriors MC, as you can see right here. put on the whole armor of God. So I get out and spread the word on the road. I go to certain places. No, I don't think, but I tell you what, I'm gonna write that name down. I'll look into it. What is he? What kind of books does he write? Is he an author or he just write? He tells the truth about WW2. Yeah, I watch a lot of documents. What no? What am I trying to say? You know, I watch a lot of stuff on the History channels and shit about all the wars and all the different things. People are so blinded nowadays by the government and everything to the truth. Documentary. That's what I'm trying to get out. They're so blinded by the truth because this younger generation. Now I'll be 59 here in a couple of months, but the younger bunch, they wasn't raised like I was raised, so they believe anything the government tells them. You know, if it's on online here or something, they believe it all. They don't. Hailstorm. I have to check that out. Yeah, I watch a lot of military ones, especially because my daddy served in the Korean War. And the first part of Vietnam, when the government will tell you that we wasn't in there, he was there. He was in a tank brigade. And I come real close to joining the army when I graduated high school, and he talked me out of it. He was just afraid I would get too deep into the shit, and I don't know. He said it'd be good for my morale and certain things like that. But my daddy taught me how to shoot at a very young age, and I'm not as good as I used to be because I don't practice as much. I don't hunt much anymore. But at one time, I was a sharpshooter, and he scored real high on the range, and they wanted him to go into snipers, and he didn't want to do it. So he ended up in a tank brigade. But he was afraid he said when you on the range, when they see how good you are, they'll try to get you to go do some dirty work. He said, I'm afraid I'll never see you again because they'll throw money in front of you. And he said, you'll get to travel all over the world and women everywhere and all. But when they get done with you, they're going to spit you out. So I decided not to go, and I went into working construction, same thing he was doing. But he told me a lot of stories. Me and my daddy was friends. You know, he wasn't only my daddy. We was friends. Uh, I went with him every step he made. I made from the time I was old enough to walk. So we drank together. We done a lot of shit together. Yeah, I enjoy the documentary. You know what we're talking about. Yeah, I watch a lot of those. A lot of these conspiracy stuff. Uh, like I said, the government's got this younger bunch snowed with the mushroom treatment. They would believe anything. They don't. I don't know how old you are, but the younger generation, they don't work. They're not paying nothing in for their future. My daddy expressed that the whole time I was growing up. Son, choose some kind of a career where you will have a pension. So when you retire, your retirement will be secured. You won't have to worry about that shit. And luckily, I did for the first 15 years out of high school. I worked union construction, and then I went to work for the government for 20 years. So I secured two pensions and Social Security. But nobody's paying in nowadays. These kids all still live with their parents at 35 years old. You know, they live married with their kids and their wife with their parents, which is cool. Don't get me wrong. you know, if you got a big farm, you're like Yellowstone. Say this, you know, the miniseries Yellowstone there or whatever it was. They had that fucking huge log cabin. It's cool to be family orientated and all live together. Don't get me wrong. Black Rock bought all the horses. Yep. What part of the world you from? You from Wild Randy? If you don't mind me asking, if you don't want to say, that's fine. Yeah, they bought all the houses. You're from England, okay? Well, my people migrated from there in the 1500s and come here. I am Scott Irish and Cherokee Indian. My grandmother on my mother's side, my mother's mother, she was full-blooded Cherokee Indian. She come off a tribe of Indians called the Pitmans. It was on a place called Blood River. It's not too far from here. And my grandmother found her there, or my granddaddy got her there like in the early 1900s. Yeah. I mean, there was already people here before, you know, people actually sailed across the ocean and come here. I mean, they call themselves the natives or whatever because they was born on this ground. But I mean, it's a beautiful country. I've always wanted to come back there. Like I said, my people migrated here in the late 1500s or some shit like that. And up in eastern Kentucky, there's a lot of mountains and hills. And a lot of them went there because it reminded them of the highlands over there. And they bred in with the mountain people because there was already people there, and they come up more or less with their own tribe of people. I don't know how to say it. Uh, they had all kind of skills as it was, and they joined it in with the mountain skills, the way they put everything together, and they was a very smart race of people that made it by living off the land. They didn't need to be governed. But you take the Highlanders and you breed them with the mountain people that have been there forever, living off the land, and they really made good. They was good surviving people. They knew how to live off the land, do what they done, whether it was making moonshine or whatever they had to do. But they were survivors. I bet that's some beautiful country where you're at, man. I always wanted to come over there and check all that out. I got it's on my bucket list. I always would like to come to England. Yeah, it's a beautiful country, and so much. I know that everybody raises hell about immigrants in the United States, illegal immigrants and everything, but a lot of people don't realize is immigrants built America. You know, in the beginning, the only thing that the natives is what they called themselves that lived here. They was all living in log cabins. They knew nothing about stone or marble or masonry work. All that come in with the immigrants. You know, Great Britain, they had all kind of stuff, different kind of building material than we did. The Italians brought the marble in and the stone, and the Irish brought their way in. And you know, when they come into the coast, they took New York from being a slum into some massive high-rise buildings. A lot of immigrants done all the high work up in the air building these buildings, the iron working and stuff. Indians, a lot of them done that because they were not scared of heights. So You know, this country was built on the back of immigrants. Yeah, but they brought stuff that we didn't know nothing about, and we tried to turn them away and treated them awful, and they would work for less, and we took advantage of that. But they had knowledge, like I said, we didn't have. We didn't have no marble. We didn't have no kind of stone, and we didn't have granite that we could mine here like they did. And you know, they looked at us and like, listen, you know, these old fucking wood rotten buildings that are falling down, we can build you stone and concrete and cement and marble and beautiful buildings and do shit. And that's what made America what it is today. And basically now you got a certain age group, like I said, they're all lazy. Who's going to do the work? I mean, if there's nobody here to do the work and you got somebody to come do it, why should I get mad because I won't get off my lazy ass and come work for you? So that's what a lot of the migrant farm workers come into this area because there's a lot of tobacco grown here. Not as much as used to, but there's still quite a bit of tobacco grown in the state of Kentucky. Well, when I was a kid in the 80s, you know, when I had my driver's license and shit like that, we would cut tobacco, we would haul hay, we would work for farmers to try to make a dollar, whatever it was, because we wanted to party on the weekends. You know, we would cut tobacco for $5, $6, $7 an hour. Several years ago, this guy was offering $30 an hour cash money for people to cut his tobacco, and he couldn't get nobody. So he brought in a bunch of Mexican migrant farm workers, and he actually got them, helped them get their citizenship. They live on his farm in an older house that he had there that he fixed up, and he said they're the best helpers he's ever had. He was about to lose his business because he could not find nobody to cut his tobacco, because you got to cut tobacco on hot days like this because it's got to wilt. It needs to wilt. You can't find no kids to get out here and cut tobacco, you know, even for $25 and $30 an hour. They're too spoiled. So he brought in migrant farm workers to keep from losing his business. And that's just one guy. So you can't blame somebody for hiring immigrants because they can't get no lazy ass Americans to work. But you're very right. The Italians, the Irish, the Germans, the British, they all brought knowledge to us that we didn't have, because we didn't have the stuff that they had to build with. I mean, you look at the Scots and the Irish and all the Highlanders. I mean, they took sticks and tree limbs and different kind of moss and shit, and made roofs on their houses. I mean, we used to make sod houses back in the day around here, and it's just basically you sit down and mix up some wet mud and sand and make some bricks and stack them together, and you know, it's basically a dirt house. But they take stone and put it together, and then a thatch roof, I think is what it was called, and the shit didn't leak or nothing, man. I mean, they knew how to live off the land, and all they wanted was freedom. And we could live off the land, but like I said, the only thing we had was old wooden buildings and log houses. We had no kind of stone like they brought over here, or the wisdom to know how to do it. We had a lot of shale rock and different rock that you could use. Yeah, Rio Rhodesia is a pretty tough area, ain't it? Yeah, it's yeah, this world's not like it used to be. I would have to say, my friend, and especially especially the United States. There's so much money being wasted. We've got ourselves into a war years ago that we're never going to be out of, you know. Now we're bombing, you know, we're dropping nukes and bombing nuclear facilities. That shit gonna be there for a while. Radiation has a 300-year half-life, which it means after you're exposed to it, it's gonna be 300 years before, you know, you'll be able to get back out of your bunker. And that's just the half-life on it. The world ain't gonna survive another 600 years, I don't believe. What isn't it a like native tribe there in Rio de Janeiro were you talking about? You're exactly right. You're exactly right. When you go to fucking around with nukes and nuclear shit, that's going to be the end of the world. Because yes, and like I said, everybody's got nukes. We don't know what people have got. We don't know what other countries have got, what they're set up for and ready to do. You go to pushing buttons, everybody goes to blowing each other up, you know. And these people that got these survival bunkers and all this shit underground, hey, that's cool. But are you going to be able to stay in there that long? Are you going to be able to make it in there that long? How much is enough? How much water is it going to take? Because when I worked for the government, I was a wastewater treatment plant operator and also the road supervisor and engineer. And I went to classes that dealt with water and wastewater. If you don't store that water and preserve it right, it will end up killing you. Yeah. And how can you help people that can't help themselves? You know, there's nothing wrong with helping. I mean, the United States motto used to be that's what the Statue of Liberty was about. Send us your starving, your hungry, your people that are wanting to make something of themselves. We'll give them a job. These are people who never had written language or. Yeah, you're exactly right. But the United States is not that way now. It's like stay the fuck out of here because there's so many people that come here and they want to live off the government tit. We've got too much going on to try to worry about helping everybody else. Every war we've ever been in, yeah, we went to somebody else's aid. I mean, sure, the Russians they moved some missiles into Cuba years ago and pointed them at us and shit, but we're always getting into somebody else's business, and we got way too much to take care of here. This war is costing billions and billions of dollars a day. Now, luckily, we're using some of their money, but like I said, I don't know what's going to happen. I don't know how much religious man you are, but if you'll read the book of Revelations, we're living in the book of Revelations right now. So this old world ain't gonna last much longer. And like I said, we talked about a lot of shit in the 70s and 80s. It was gonna happen, but we wouldn't live long enough to see it. And I have myself, just like this right here. For years, I grow this and run from the law. Now I have a legal medical card to go legally buy it and sit here in my own house. So we knew one day it would be legal or decriminalized, and here it is. I'll live long enough to see it. Now, I don't know how long I'm going to live because that's up to my Heavenly Father and my Lord and Savior. But I've had a lot of stuff go. I've had some four serious major surgeries. I had two heart attacks. I died on one of them. I flatlined for 18 seconds. And I've seen the other side. I've seen a glorious place. If that's where I'm going, I was ready to go that day. Because this old world has become a very, very, very bad place to live in. Hey, Wild Randy, appreciate you talking to me. I've enjoyed it, my friend, but here comes the people or the girl's gonna mow my yard, and I'm gonna holler at her a minute and get her paid, and then come here and start cleaning on my house. I'll probably live stream a little later on. So appreciate each and every one of you coming in. God bless you. May God be with you every day and watch out over each and every one of you. May He continue to lead, guide, and direct you. May He continue to keep you on the path of righteousness. Praise Him, thank Him, pray every day for yourself and for the troubles of the world and everybody all over the world. And when you can help people, help them, love them, be kind to each other. The good Lord willing and the creek don't rise, I will be back. So there's some peace and love and happiness. Thank y'all so much.